死なないために死ぬほど準備することなんて絵に秘めあったことでしょう。光栄だけど買いかぶりっすよ。
Hello guys, it's me Simo Orahara, and in this video we'll talk about the events of a chapter that took place in the final arc, and some of you may not have read it, and simply because its chapter was not issued weekly, but it was attached with the book 13 Bleeds. The title of the chapter is Untold Story 520.5 Work Under 2 Letters. And it relates to Hisagi Shuhi, and of course, through the chapter number, we know that its events fall between the first and the second invasion, in the period when the Shinigami was preparing for the second round of their war against the Quincy. And this chapter is important because it contains some scenes that explain some events that happened to some characters, and also give us another side of Hisagi's life. And this is also a good chance to remind you of a certain period of Hisagi that we have seen in the anime, exactly in episode 46, and also in the manga as a side chapter. In that chapter we have learned some of the past of Rukia, Renji, Kira and Momo, and also Hisagi when they were in the academy, so we watched some of their training. Of course, this scene of training were just in the anime, not in the manga. And speaking of differences, I must point out that there is a difference between the anime and the manga regarding the exercises that the Shinigami did in the world of living. In the anime they showed that their mission will be to fight artificial hollows. However, in the manga it was different. The team went to practice doing console, but in general, the training was under the leadership of Hisagi and his classmates Kanizawa and Oga, and this trio is what interests us in those events. At that time, Hisagi was a 6th-year student, and as I said, he was the leader with Kanizawa and Oga. And so after everyone heads to the real world or the world of living and finishes their training, Kanizawa will be attacked by a hollow who was hiding its Ryatsu. Oga tried to respond to the attack but failed to do so and was subjected to this attack, while Hisagi was left alone with the trio Momo, Renji and Kira. Hisagi tried to resist the hollow, but he too suffered an injury that left that distinctive scar on his face. But in the end of the chapter, they were rescued by Aizen Sosuke and his vice captain at that time, Gin. And as a PS, it caught my attention that even such hollows at this level, which may seem to us very weak because we have seen stronger levels of hollow classification. We have seen the Menos with their 3-level, Gillian, Adiokas and Vastolol, and also Arankara. Thus, it seems to us that the ordinary hollows are nothing, but in fact, the same category possess a great challenge to the ordinary Shinigami, and we have seen this in the events of the first episode of the final arc. Shino and Yuki didn't have a chance against the Giant's hollows, and they would have been dead if it wasn't for Ichigo's intervention. Thus, it can be said that among thousands of Shinigami, there are few who can easily kill hollows from their first step in the field. We may mention among them Gin Ichimaru, Kaien Shiba, and Toshiro Hitsugaya. These trio are considered the geniuses of the academy. Kaien Shiba, who Ikitake described him as a miracle since he has graduated from the academy on the first attempt and completed the graduation curriculum that needs 6 years in 2 years, while Gin finished the curriculum only in 1 year and at a young age. And Toshiro was able to release Bankai before he even became an officer in the Gotei 13. So, in order to know the importance of these achievements of this trio, imagine that Kira considered Hisagi, who twice failed the academy exam, to be an outstanding person as he was accepted inside the Gotei 13 before graduation. The important thing, and back to the subject of Hisagi, when the latter returned with his team to the Soul Society, he had lost his friend Kanizawa while Oga sustained a wound on his face. And apparently, Hisagi's relationship with Kanizawa wasn't just an ordinary relationship, or at least on the part of Kanizawa, and it seems that Hisagi was from time to time has been visiting her grave, and one of these times was after the end of the first Quincy attack. And chapter 520.5 begins with these scenes, and by chance he saw also Oga was coming to visit her grave too. Oga said to Hisagi that he comes every month to visit her and exactly on the day of her death. And another thing, if you notice, also Oga got a scar in his face as a result of that holo attack. Oga told Hisagi that Kanizawa will be glad that you visited her because she loved you. Hisagi tells him that he came to visit her before he goes to train with Kinsey for the next fight. And this is what we saw later in chapter I think 538 or maybe 537. Anyway, here where Oga will tell Hisagi that he's an amazing person because he has overcome his fear. And here he means the incident that happened to all of them when that holo attacked them. Unlike Oga who couldn't surpass his fear and went to the 4th division, while Hisagi did not retreat and climbed the ranks until he became a vice captain. Oga wished Hisagi to be safe and not to die in the next battle, because if that happens, Kanizawa will be sad. But Hisagi replied to himself that he didn't get over his fear. It's simply because we cannot overcome our fears. They will remain with us. We just have to go along with them. And here guys, we will see an interesting scenes drawn by Kobo. When Hisagi was speaking to himself, we see Kira being treated by Mayuri. And this is an important scene because it shows how Kira survived. It's true we saw that in the novel, I think it's titled The Beginning of Tomorrow. But here we have a canon scene of Kira being treated by Mayuri. Also one of the important scenes is this scene of Okitake. We saw here Okitake with Kyone and Sencharo were going to the Kamikake shrine. And as you can see, Okitake greets Kyoraku as he leaves. I mean, they are just simple panels, but they have great significance in the story. And the chapter ends with this scene of the captains and some vice captains and Hisagi behind them as they prepare for battle. But personally, I like to see the other side of Hisagi. We used to see his path related to Tosen, but here we saw that despite that passage of years since that holo incident, Hisagi did not forget Kanizawa as well as his friend Oga, and her memory was scarred on their faces so that they will always remember her. And as I said, I really like the scene of Okitake, although it's just a normal scene, but it has a lot in it. Okitake was not going for a picnic, as it may appear from the picture, but rather a place that has a close connection with his past and has a relationship with one of the most important themes of the story, which is the King of Souls. So I really hope to see this chapter in the anime, but now, as you can see, the anime is focusing on the battle, not on some side dialogues or maybe some side scenes. So I really hope to see that chapter in the anime and maybe we can see it in the next episode. So guys, tell me your opinion, what do you think, and see you in my next video.